makes sense. Alex, can I jump in? Because I kind of fit right with these two ladies.
Totally, go for it.
So my class is set up almost exactly like Emily's. It was weird to look at your page. I'm like, that looks exactly like my classes. And so I think that we mesh pretty well. And with the participation, so I had face-to-face last semester and was trying to decide how to do it this semester. But so far, my 2 face-to-face have canceled because they were both too small. I have one that's an 8-week that should start later, but really struggled with the discussion part because, you can't count being present as part of their grade, but I do lots of classroom discussions every session. But I had some people who wanted to stay home for lots of different reasons that I don't, the same ones that you've all heard. So what I would let them do is I would open up a Zoom while I was in the class on the computer. And so they could hear some of what I was saying, but I move around the room a lot too. And when we were having discussions, so I had a couple of students in the class who volunteered to also have the Zoom open and but muted, so they could see if the students who were online had a question or texted. And then I put them in a group just like any other group. So I would turn them on and they'd be in a group, only they'd be on the phone and the other 3 people in the group would be kind of yelling at each other across chairs. And so, because, we're trying to still keep distance in our groups. It was the weirdest group work I've ever done. And so I'm with you ladies, just really trying to be flexible. I don't want to punish the students for being sick or being cautious, but it's this fine line too, right? Between they're sick, or do they just want to stay at home and they happen to sign up for your face-to-face class? Honestly, it's not my choice to judge. And so if they choose not to be there, I just let them not be there. I always think you get more out of class in person and talking to people, but that's how I learn. And so I really tried to be flexible too. And so if I was doing the 2-week thing, I would probably do that. And I would probably try to keep it as consistent as possible and teach myself. But if you chose not to come, then that's your choice. But I would have a Zoom open and have 1 or 2 volunteers in the classroom helping me with that. But I do the same too. I record all my announcements each week. So whether or not you're in my class, you'll get to see the announcements and kind of hear me go through the syllabus or what's happening this week. And so I try to pre-record as much as possible. So I have an introduction to each module that's already recorded. But for each class, I do a Zoom, 2 or 3 minute welcome to the week. Can you believe it's finally week 5? And here's what's going on this week. And be sure to read this or that. And I do that every semester. I've debated back or forth whether I could make a generic one and not have to do it. But then I thought that's no fun. And they want to see that it's relevant and that I'm wearing winter clothes if it's winter and that I have spring happening if it's spring. And I bet Halloween decorations in the back if it's Halloween or whatever. So that way it's not just me recorded talking to them the whole semester. So there's my 2 minutes on how I would combo.
So like I said, there's not really
Thank you so much for that, Christy. And I think that that's really important because there we go. I think that that's really important to note that we can kind of almost drive ourselves crazy trying to see, are they actually sick, or, trying to get to the root of that. But just having flexibility be our guiding post right now, and recognizing that we can set up the system so that that allows that flexibility in ways that they're still getting the work done and doing what they need to do to be successful in our course. Thank you so much for that. Any questions for Christy before we go on to our next speaker? This is like speedy faculty forum.